Welcome to Cosmo Publishing. You just tuned yourself to the coolest place to learn all about self-publishing. We are a turnkey quality service provider, from interior formatting to custom covers and everything in between, including book marketing and advertising. It is the company that books a lot.
Why launch strategy matters. Welcome to the Cosmo Publishing Podcast, the place where we explore every corner of self-publishing, from writing and formatting to marketing and distribution. I am your host, Gürhan, co-founder of Cosmo Publishing and Cosmodio books. Together, we help authors turn their creative ideas into professional books and guide them through every stage of the publishing journey, from manuscript to marketing. Today's episode is one of my favorites because it's where all your hard work finally comes to life. We're talking about your book launch strategy, how to build excitement, attract attention, and turn your release day into more than just a quiet upload. A launch isn't just about publishing a book, it's about introducing it to the world in a way that creates momentum. Many new authors think of launch day as the finish line. They hit publish, take a deep breath, and wait for sales to roll in. But here's the truth. Launch day is the starting line. It's the moment when your book finally meets its readers. And how you prepare for that moment determines everything that happens next. A good launch strategy doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. You don't need a giant marketing team or a big ad budget. What you need is structure, timing, and intention. It's about planning small, consistent actions that build anticipation and tell readers something exciting is coming. Think of your launch like a movie premiere. When a new film is about to release, the studio doesn't just drop it one morning and hope people notice. They release trailers, posters, behind-the-scenes clips, interviews, and teasers. By the time the movie hits theaters, audiences are already waiting in line. Your book deserves that same level of care and build-up, even if you're the one person doing it all. Let's talk about why launch strategy matters so much, especially in the digital publishing world. When you release a new book, algorithms pay attention to how it performs in the first few days. The number of sales, reviews, page reads, and clicks all tell the system whether your book should be recommended to more readers. That means your early performance can create a ripple effect, a small burst of attention that pushes your book higher in search results where even more readers can find it. Without a plan, that moment passes quietly. Your book might still find readers over time, but the growth will be slower. With a plan, that same window becomes an opportunity. You create buzz before the launch, build engagement during it, and maintain momentum after it. That combination helps your book grow naturally. I've seen this happen again and again with authors at every level. A first-time author with a tiny audience can build real traction simply by being consistent and intentional. A professional author with several books can take their results to the next level by refining their timing and coordination. The difference isn't luck, it's strategy. A strong launch also gives you confidence. Publishing can feel overwhelming because there's so much you can't control. You can't control algorithms or reviews, but you can control your preparation. You can control how you show up, how you talk about your book, and how you invite readers into your world. A clear launch plan turns stress into direction. It gives you a checklist, a rhythm, and a reason to celebrate every step. Another benefit of planning your launch is that it builds relationships. Every time you share updates, reveal your cover, or talk about your process, you're connecting with readers, friends, and future fans. You're not just promoting a product, you're creating a shared experience. Readers love being part of a story that's unfolding in real time. When they see you working toward your launch, they feel like they're part of the journey too. I like to think of a launch as storytelling beyond the page. Your book tells one story, the way you launch it tells another. a story about creativity, persistence, and connection. When done right, your launch becomes a part of your brand. It shows readers that you care not only about writing good books, but also about how those books reach them. So whether you're releasing your very first title or your fifth, today's episode will walk you through the full process. We'll break down what happens before, during, and after launch week. We'll talk about how to create hype, how to engage your audience, and how to turn launch excitement into lasting sales. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear understanding of how to approach your next release with purpose. No chaos, no guessing, just a practical, repeatable system you can use every time you publish. Let's get started by talking about the three main phases of a book launch. The pre-launch phase, the launch week itself, and the post-launch follow-up. Once you understand how these three parts work together, everything else will start to make sense. Understanding the phases of a book launch. Before we dive into the details of promotion, ads, or social media, it's important to understand that every successful launch follows a rhythm. There are three main phases: pre-launch, launch week, and post-launch. Each one has its own focus and purpose, and when you understand how they work together, the process becomes much less stressful and far more effective. Let's start with the pre-launch phase, because this is where most of the real work happens. Pre-launch is everything you do before your book goes live, preparing your materials, warming up your audience, and building excitement. Think of it as laying the foundation for a house. You wouldn't start decorating before the walls are up. During the pre-launch stage, your main goal is to create awareness. You want people to know your book exists and to start looking forward to it. That doesn't mean you need a massive following or a fancy campaign. It just means showing up consistently. Maybe you start sharing little behind-the-scenes moments, like the day your cover design arrives or a line from your favorite chapter. You're slowly pulling your readers into your world. The second goal of pre-launch is to prepare your tools, your metadata, your book page, your email list, and any marketing visuals you'll need. This is also the time to gather a few early readers or reviewers. Their support can give you a head start on release day when those first reviews begin to appear. Here's a story that shows how this stage pays off. A first-time fantasy author I worked with spent 3 weeks before her launch sharing short quotes and artwork inspired by her book on Instagram. She didn't have a big audience, but people started commenting, asking questions, and following along. When her book finally launched, those same people were the first to buy it and leave reviews. That early buzz gave her listing the push it needed to appear in Amazon's Hot New Releases section for her category. Now, once pre-launch ends, you move into launch week, the most exciting and intense part of the process. This is when your book officially becomes available for purchase or download. Many authors expect this to be the moment when everything just explodes, but in reality, launch week is a carefully timed event. The goal here is not just to sell books, but to build momentum. Momentum happens when multiple signals hit the system at once: sales, reviews, social media mentions, and newsletter clicks. That activity tells the algorithm your book is active, relevant, and popular. The more engagement you generate during those first few days, the more likely your book is to appear in recommendations and search results. Launch week is also when you'll do most of your communication. You might send a few newsletters, post daily on your social platforms, share thank yous to readers, or talk about your book's message in short videos. It's not about pushing, it's about celebrating. You've worked hard for this moment, and readers respond when they see your excitement. One author I know, a nonfiction writer, turned her launch week into a mini event. Every day she shared one short story related to her book's theme. Personal lessons, behind-the-scenes insights, and short tips. She wasn't selling directly, she was connecting. By the end of the week, she had doubled her email list and created a steady wave of interest that lasted long after launch day. That brings us to the third phase, post-launch. This part often gets overlooked, but it's just as important as the others. Once your book is out, you're no longer preparing or launching, you're maintaining. Post-launch is where you nurture your momentum and keep your book alive after the initial excitement fades. Think of it like caring for a plant after it blooms. If you stop watering it, it wilts. But if you keep giving it attention, even just a little, it continues to grow. In post-launch, that might mean sharing new reviews, doing an author Q&A, or setting up a temporary discount to attract new readers. A great example of this comes from a children's book author I worked with. After her launch week ended, she didn't stop posting. Instead, she began sharing photos of readers' kids enjoying the book. She asked parents to tag her and created a small challenge where families could share what they learned from the story. It kept her book visible and he created a sense of community. Months later, she was still selling copies because people were discovering her book through those posts. So, to summarize, every successful launch flows through these three phases: pre-launch, launch week, and post-launch. The pre-launch builds anticipation, the launch week creates impact, and the post-launch maintains growth. If any one of these phases is missing, the whole rhythm falls apart. But when they work together, your book release feels natural, exciting, and sustainable. You don't have to do everything perfectly, you just have to understand the timing. Each phase prepares the next, and together they turn a single event into a lasting presence. In the next section, we'll go deeper into the first phase, preparing for launch. You'll learn how to organize your tasks, build anticipation, and make sure your book is fully ready to meet the world on release day. Preparing for launch. Now that you understand the rhythm of a book launch, let's focus on the first and most important phase, preparation. Because a great launch doesn't start on release day. It starts weeks or even months before it. What you do during this stage will shape how smoothly everything goes when your book finally becomes available. The preparation phase is all about two things: getting your materials ready and building anticipation. Let's start with materials. Think of this as setting up your stage before the show begins. You want everything polished, tested, and in place so that when launch week arrives, you can focus on connecting with readers instead of fixing problems. That means making sure your book files are properly formatted, your metadata is clean, your categories and keywords are chosen, and your product page is complete. A reader should be able to land on your listing and immediately understand what your book is about, who it's for, and why they should buy it. Your book description should be engaging, your author bio should sound confident and friendly, and your cover should look professional at every size, especially the thumbnail. Most readers will see it first on a small screen. If you're planning to release both an ebook and a paperback, double check that both versions are linked correctly and that your price points make sense. Readers often compare formats before purchasing, so make sure each one looks intentional. The second part of preparation is where the excitement starts. Building anticipation. This is where you begin letting people know that your book is coming soon. You don't have to make a big announcement right away. Start small. Share glimpses of your process. Maybe you post a behind-the-scenes moment while formatting your book, or a photo of your workspace with a caption like "Final edits before launch." These small updates build curiosity and bring your audience into the journey. One author I worked with, a romance writer, began her pre-launch phase by posting short excerpts on social media once a week. She didn't give away spoilers, just lines that hinted at the emotion and tone of her story. Readers started commenting and guessing about the characters. By the time launch week arrived, her audience already felt connected to the book. Another author, who writes self-help books, created a short video series on her Instagram stories where she talked about one idea from her upcoming book each day. She kept them short and conversational. By doing that, she wasn't only promoting her book, she was offering value. When she finally announced her release date, her followers were ready to support her because she had already earned their trust. If you have an email list, the preparation phase is the perfect time to warm it up. You can start sending small updates about your book, a sneak peek of the cover, or an early look at the table of contents. The goal isn't to sell yet. It's to remind your readers that something exciting is coming. You might also consider creating a launch team, a small group of readers who receive an early copy of your book in exchange for an honest review or for helping you spread the word on launch day. It doesn't have to be large. Even 10 engaged people can make a big difference. Another powerful step during the preparation phase is to set up your pre-order. Pre-orders help build momentum before launch day, and every sale counts toward your ranking on release. They also allow you to collect data early. You can see how your marketing efforts are performing before the book is even live. Now let's talk about visuals. Every launch benefits from a cohesive look. That means using the same colors, fonts, and tone across your posts, stories, and promotional images. Consistency helps readers recognize your book instantly, no matter where they see it. You can create a few reusable templates in Canva or any design tool you like. That way, when launch week arrives, you'll already have everything ready to go. All you'll need to do is post. The last part of the preparation phase is mental preparation. Launching a book is emotional. You've spent months, maybe years, creating something deeply personal, and now you're sharing it with the world. It's completely normal to feel nervous. The key is to remember that a launch isn't a test of your worth. It's a celebration of your progress. Every author, even the most experienced, feels that same mix of excitement and fear. The best thing you can do is plan well enough that on launch day you can focus on joy instead of stress. Here's one more story to show what preparation can do. A thriller author I know once told me that her first book launch was chaotic. She forgot to upload the paperback, her email link was broken, and her cover designer was still making last-minute changes. She promised herself she would never repeat that again. For her next release, she created a simple checklist 3 weeks before launch. She reviewed her pages, scheduled her posts, and prepared her emails in advance. The second launch felt calm, professional, and exciting. Her readers noticed the difference, and her sales reflected it. That's the real value of preparation. It gives you peace of mind. You can't control every result, but you can control how ready you are. So, as you move through this phase, focus on clarity. Make sure your materials are in order, your audience knows something special is coming, and you've built enough anticipation that by the time your book goes live, readers are waiting for it. In the next section, we'll talk about what happens during launch week itself, how to manage your time, keep up your energy, and make the most of those crucial first days when your book steps into the world. launch week essentials. Now we've reached the most exciting part of the process, launch week. This is the moment you've been working toward, the week when your book officially enters the world. All the preparation you've done up until now leads to this point. But launch week isn't just about hitting publish and hoping for the best. It's about managing the energy of your release, keeping it organized, and making sure your excitement translates into visibility. The key to launch week is balance. You want to be active, but not overwhelmed. You want to celebrate, but also stay focused. Think of yourself as both the host and the guest of honor at your own party. You're welcoming people in, guiding them through, and enjoying the moment all at once. Let's start with the basics. On launch day, your main goal is to make your book easy to find, easy to buy, and easy to talk about. That means making sure your links work, your listing looks clean, and your visuals are ready to post. Check that your ebook and paperback are both live and properly linked, and that your categories and keywords are displaying correctly. If something's missing or delayed, don't panic. Small hiccups are common during release. Handle them calmly and keep moving forward. Once your book is live, it's time to share the news. Start with your most personal channels first, your email list, your social media, and any communities or groups you belong to. This isn't about sounding salesy. It's about inviting people to celebrate with you. A simple message like, my new book is officially out today. Thank you for being part of this journey, goes a long way. Remember that not everyone sees your posts the moment you publish them. Algorithms move fast, and people scroll quickly. That's why it's okay to talk about your book more than once during launch week. You can share it in different ways. A thank you post one day, a behind-the-scenes story the next, a favorite quote another day. Keep the rhythm going without repeating yourself. Here's something I tell every author. Enthusiasm is contagious. When readers see that you're genuinely excited about your book, they feel it. Your joy becomes part of their curiosity. So, let yourself celebrate. Record a short video of yourself unboxing your proof copy. Post a story of your reaction to the first review. Share the playlist you listened to while writing. These little moments make your launch feel personal and real. Let's talk about timing. The first 3 to 5 days after release are the most important. This is when the algorithm is watching your activity most closely. Every sale, every review, every click helps the system understand your audience. That means you want as much genuine engagement as possible during this window. Encourage your launch team or early readers to leave their reviews quickly. Even a handful of honest reviews can make a big difference in credibility and ranking. If you're running ads, this is a good time to start small. The goal during launch week isn't necessarily to make a profit, it's to gather data and create visibility. A small budget spread over a few days helps your book reach new readers who might not know you yet. Watch how your ads perform, but don't get too caught up in the numbers right away. Another great launch week strategy is collaboration. Partner with other authors in your genre for shout-outs or joint posts. Readers love discovering multiple books that fit their interests, and collaboration expands your reach organically. If you have friends or followers who run book-related accounts, ask them to feature your post or story. Most people are happy to support an author who is passionate about their work. Let's look at an example. A mystery author I worked with turned her launch week into a mini challenge for her readers. She invited them to post a photo of themselves with the book using a simple hashtag she created. She then shared those posts throughout the week, thanking each reader by name. It created a wave of engagement that kept her book visible across multiple platforms. Another author who wrote a cookbook hosted a short live event where she cooked one of her recipes from the book. She didn't talk about sales, She simply shared value. By the end of the week, her video had thousands of views, and her book was trending in its category. During launch week, remember to pace yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and feel like you need to post nonstop, but burnout helps no one. Instead, schedule some of your posts in advance so you can actually enjoy your launch. Celebrate the milestones as they happen. Your first sale, your first review, your first reader photo. Each one is a reminder that your work is connecting with real people. It's also a good idea to track what's happening. Keep a simple note of which posts perform best, which ads convert, and which activities generate engagement. That data will help you refine your approach for your next launch. Most of all, keep your focus on gratitude. Every author dreams of the moment their book goes live, and it's easy to miss the joy when you're watching numbers. Take time to appreciate the journey, the late nights, the edits, the learning. Each book is an accomplishment. Whether you sell 10 copies or 1,000, you've done something few people ever do. You've turned an idea into something real. At the end of launch week, give yourself permission to rest. You've earned it. Step back, celebrate, and recharge. But don't disappear completely, because the next phase, post-launch, is where you turn that first burst of excitement into long-term growth. In the next section, we'll talk about how to sustain momentum after launch weekends, how to keep your book visible without constant promotion, and how to transform those early readers into loyal fans who will be ready for your next release. Using Amazon and social media together. Now that your book is live and the first rush of launch week has passed, let's talk about how to use two of your most powerful tools together, Amazon and social media. These platforms work hand in hand, and when you understand how to connect them, you can amplify your visibility far beyond your immediate audience. Most authors think of Amazon and social media as separate worlds. One is where your book sells, the other is where you post about it. But in reality, the two systems feed each other. Social media creates traffic and engagement. Amazon tracks that traffic and uses it to measure your book's popularity. The more people visit your listing, click Look Inside, or add your book to their cart, the more signals Amazon receives that your book deserves attention. Let's start with how this works in practice. When you share your book on social media, don't just post the link and move on. Think of each post as an invitation to a story. Instead of saying, "My book is out, buy it here," try something like, "This book started as a late night idea that I couldn't stop thinking about, and today is finally real." Then add your link. That small change shifts the tone from selling to storytelling. Readers are drawn to emotion, not instruction. Amazon's algorithm responds best when real engagement happens naturally. That's why sending cold traffic from social media directly to Amazon ads or links doesn't always convert well. Instead, nurture the interest first. Warm up your audience through conversation, small reveals, and moments of connection. Then, when you do share your link, those readers are already invested. Here's a great example. A children's author I know used Instagram to post short behind-the-scenes videos while she was illustrating her book. She didn't mention sales once. She simply showed progress, sketches, color tests, and little moments from her workspace. By the time she announced her Amazon pre-order, her followers were emotionally attached to the project. When launch day arrived, her link clicks were 3 times higher than her previous book. Social media gives you the human side of marketing, your face, your voice, your journey. Amazon gives you the system, the search results, the recommendations, the algorithms. When you combine them, your reach expands both emotionally and technically. One important thing to remember is that algorithms recognize momentum. When readers interact with your content, liking, commenting, saving, or sharing, that activity strengthens your social reach. When those same people then visit Amazon and engage with your book page, it reinforces your presence there too. Every interaction builds layers of visibility across platforms. If you want to take that a step further, use social media to highlight specific Amazon features. For example, you can show followers how to use the Look Inside preview, or talk about how reviews help authors. You can even record a short video scrolling through your book's page, showing the cover, the blurb, and the Buy Now button. This makes the buying process simple and familiar. An author named Elena did this brilliantly. She writes poetry, and instead of just posting her cover, she filmed herself reading a short piece from the book while showing her Amazon listing in the background. The video was quiet and heartfelt. Within 48 hours, hundreds of viewers had visited her page. Some left reviews mentioning that exact video, and the content didn't feel like marketing, it felt like art. The key to using Amazon and social media together is consistency. You don't have to post constantly, but you do need to stay visible. Even small reminders help keep your book active in people's minds. A short quote from your book, a reader review you loved, or a personal reflection about what inspired your story. Each of these creates gentle momentum. Another thing that helps is linking your platforms together. Include your Amazon author page in your bio or link hub. Add your social handles to your Amazon author profile so readers can follow you outside the platform. Think of it as creating a loop. Readers discover you on Amazon, then follow you on social media, where they connect with your personality and updates, and that connection brings them back for your next release. For authors running Amazon ads, social media can make those campaigns stronger. Ads bring new readers into your world, but your posts and presence help them decide to stay. I've seen authors cut their ad costs in half just by improving their organic visibility. When readers already recognize your name or cover from social media, your ads convert faster. Here's another example. A nonfiction author named Ryan wrote a book about personal finance. He used LinkedIn and Instagram to share short practical money tips every day for 2 weeks before his launch. Each post ended with a light mention that the tips came from his upcoming book. When the book launched, his audience didn't need convincing. They already trusted him. His Amazon listing received so much traffic in the first 48 hours that the algorithms started recommending his book under related titles. That momentum came from consistency, not pressure. The final thing I want to emphasize is authenticity. Readers can sense when a post comes from genuine excitement versus obligation. Talk about your book the way you'd tell a friend, what you loved writing, what surprised you, what you hope readers will take away. Marketing works best when it feels human. Social media is your voice. Amazon is your stage. When you use them together with intention, you give your book the best possible chance to be seen and remembered. In the next section, we'll look at real-world launch stories from authors who use these exact strategies, some with big audiences, others starting completely from scratch, and we'll explore what made their launches work. Real-world author launch stories. So far, we've talked about the principles behind a strong launch, how to plan, prepare, and use your platforms effectively. But nothing brings those ideas to life better than real examples. Every author's journey is different, yet the patterns of success are surprisingly consistent. The stories I'm about to share come from authors in different genres, budgets, and stages of their careers. What they all have in common is that they used simple strategies with focus and intention. Let's start with Maya, a first-time romance author. She didn't have a large audience or any previous books. Her entire launch plan fit on a single page. She began preparing 4 weeks before release, sharing one emotional quote from her book each week on Instagram with a soft watercolor background that matched her cover. Those posts slowly built curiosity. By launch week, she had a small but loyal group of readers waiting. On release day, she sent out a heartfelt message thanking everyone for their encouragement and explaining how long it had taken her to finish the story. Within a few days, she had 10 reviews and steady sales. She told me later that her secret wasn't advertising. It was showing up consistently with authenticity. Now meet Ben, a nonfiction author who wrote about fitness for busy professionals. He decided early that his strategy would be education, not promotion. A month before launch, he started posting quick 30-second videos with simple tips from his book. Here's one small thing you can do today to improve your posture, he'd say. Every video ended with, I talk about this in my upcoming book. When the book went live, those short clips had already positioned him as an expert. His followers were ready to buy, and his book hit the top 10 in its category during his first week. Then there's Olivia, a children's author with a big heart and a tiny budget. She didn't spend money on ads or email services. Instead, she focused on building a community. During her pre-launch phase, she posted about why she wrote her story, to help children understand kindness and courage. She invited parents and teachers to join a small online reading group. When the book launched, she shared pictures of real kids holding the book with permission from their families. Those images melted hearts and spread quickly through word of mouth. She sold out her first print run in 2 weeks. Another inspiring example is from Carlos, who writes science fiction. His first launch failed. He admitted that he uploaded his book and waited for sales that never came. But instead of giving up, he studied what went wrong. For his second release, he did everything differently. He built an email list using a short prequel story he gave away for free. He reached out to 10 book bloggers who loved his genre and sent them early copies. By launch day, he already had reviews ready to go. This time, his book debuted in the top 100 for science fiction. Carlos told me the biggest lesson he learned was that a launch isn't about one day. It's about building connections before that day arrives. Now let's look at Harper, a memoir author. Her story is emotional and deeply personal, so she wanted a gentle, meaningful launch. She decided to focus on storytelling. During her pre-launch, she shared pieces of her journey on social media, what inspired her, what she learned, what she hoped others would take away. Readers connected with her vulnerability. On launch day, she hosted a live reading and Q&A from her living room. It wasn't fancy, just her laptop, and genuine gratitude. Over 100 people joined. That evening, her book became a bestseller in 3 categories. She says she didn't sell a book that day. She shared an experience. And then there's Theo, a fantasy author who blended everything: creativity, strategy, and playfulness. His series launch included a countdown where each day he revealed one new illustration or lore detail from his fictional world. He even recorded short in-character videos as his protagonist, welcoming readers to the universe of his story. By the time launch day arrived, his followers felt like they were stepping into a world they already knew. His engagement rate tripled, and his first book success carried over to book 2 automatically. These authors prove that there isn't a single formula for a perfect launch. What matters most is that the effort feels genuine and aligned with your personality. Some authors lead with emotion, others with education, and some with creativity. The strategy that fits you best will always be the one you can sustain joyfully. Even mistakes become part of your education. Every author I've mentioned learned something from their process, that visibility takes consistency, that connections matter more than algorithms, and that readers respond to honesty. Here's a small story to show what I mean. A poet named Lena planned a big social media campaign with countdowns and giveaways, but 2 days before launch, her computer crashed and she lost her prepared posts. Instead of giving up, she took a deep breath and started sharing her thoughts directly from her phone. She wrote about her frustration, her process, and her love for the craft. Her audience connected even more with her honesty than they would have with her planned graphics. Her book ended up outselling her expectations by the end of the month. So whether you're just beginning or preparing your 5th launch, remember that perfection isn't the goal. Connection is. The readers who stay with you long term aren't following a marketing plan. They're following you. Each launch teaches you something new. Each one builds your audience and your confidence. You'll experiment, adjust, and find your rhythm. Some launches will go better than others, but none of them will be wasted. Everyone brings you closer to mastering your craft, not just as a writer, but as an independent publisher. In the next section, we'll talk about how to sustain the momentum you've built. Once launch week is over, the excitement slows, but your growth doesn't have to. You'll learn how to keep your book visible, how to nurture your readers, and how to transform short-term excitement into long-term success. Sustaining momentum after launch. You've made it through launch week, your book is live, and you've probably felt that mix of excitement and exhaustion that every author experiences. Now comes the part most people forget. What happens next? The truth is, the best launches don't end when the confetti settles. They evolve. Sustaining momentum after launch is what turns a single book into a long-term success story. Think of launch week as lighting a spark. It burns bright at first, but it needs oxygen to keep going. That oxygen comes from consistency, small, steady actions that keep your book visible and your readers engaged long after the release date. Let's start with visibility. After the first week or two, the algorithm starts adjusting your book's ranking based on ongoing engagement, not just initial sales. That means your goal now is to keep a gentle flow of activity on your listing. You don't need massive numbers, just consistent movement. A few reviews each week, a few new readers discovering your book, a few shares on social media. It all adds up. One of the simplest ways to maintain visibility is to keep talking about your book naturally. Not every post needs to be promotional. You can share stories about your writing process, reflect on the lessons you learned while creating the book, or post about the themes behind it. The key is to stay present in your readers' minds without repeating yourself. Here's an example. A nonfiction author I know published a book on mindfulness. After her launch week, she worried about losing momentum. Instead of running ads or posting constant sales links, she started sharing short personal reflections inspired by her chapters. Little paragraphs about calm, patience, and gratitude. Each one ended with a gentle reminder that the readers could explore those ideas further in her book. Those posts became part of her brand. Sales continued steadily for months because people didn't feel marketed to. They felt connected. For fiction authors, the same principle applies, but through storytelling. Share deleted scenes, character sketches, or what-if ideas that didn't make it into the final version. Readers love glimpses behind the curtain. They want to know what inspired your world, how you named your characters, or where certain scenes came from. These small insights build loyalty, and loyal readers talk about your books to others. Another great way to sustain momentum is through reviews. Reviews are the heartbeat of your book's visibility. They influence recommendations, rankings, and trust. Even after launch week, you can keep encouraging them, gently and authentically. You might include a short note at the end of your book thanking readers for their support and inviting them to share their thoughts. You can also remind your audience on social media that reviews help authors more than they realize. A mystery author I worked with created a simple habit that changed everything. Once a week, she highlighted a reader review on her Instagram page. She thanked the reader and shared a short quote from the feedback. It wasn't only gratitude, it was social proof. New readers saw those posts and wanted to be part of the experience. Reviews kept coming in, one after another. If your launch team helped you with early promotion, stay connected with them too. Update them on milestones. Maybe you reached 50 reviews, or your book appeared on a bestseller list. People love being part of a success they helped build. That sense of community keeps them engaged and ready for your next release. Let's talk about ads briefly. After your initial campaign, you can reduce your budget and switch to maintenance mode. Keep a few ads running at a low cost to maintain traffic and data. Ads are like open signs on your storefront. They don't need to shout, just remind people you're there. Another powerful post-launch strategy is outreach. This is where you look beyond your audience and find new ways to connect with readers. You can pitch guest articles, appear on podcasts, or collaborate with other authors in your genre for theme posts or giveaways. Every time your name appears in a new space, you attract fresh readers who may have missed your launch entirely. Here's a story that shows this beautifully. A historical fiction author named Serena launched her book quietly. Her sales were modest but steady. 2 months later, she wrote a guest post for a history blog about the real events behind her novel. That single article introduced her to a whole new audience. Within a week, her book's ranking improved, and she saw a second wave of reviews and sales. She didn't relaunch her book. She just reignited interest. Momentum isn't about keeping the same level of intensity as launch week. It's about shifting from sprint to marathon. You move from daily posts to weekly updates, from hype to consistency. You let your book breathe while still giving it life. It's also the perfect time to start thinking ahead. If you're planning a series, mention the next book. If you write nonfiction, create small spin-off content, blog posts, tips, or guides that keep your topic alive. Readers love continuity. When they know something new is coming, they stay engaged. Finally, celebrate your wins, no matter how small. It's easy to chase numbers and forget why you started, but every milestone matters. Your first international sale, your 10th review, your first reader message saying your book inspired them. Those moments are proof that your words are reaching people. Launching a book is a journey, not an event. The authors who succeed long term are the ones who keep showing up, not with perfection, but with persistence. In the final section, we'll bring everything together. I'll give you a simple, motivating summary, a reminder of what matters most in this process, and a short checklist to help you plan your next launch with clarity and confidence. Action checklist. We've reached the end of today's episode, and I hope by now you're seeing your book launch in a new light. It's no longer a single day that happens once and disappears. It's a carefully built process, a rhythm that carries your book from an idea in your mind to a living presence in readers' hands. Now, you've learned how every phase has a purpose. The pre-launch builds anticipation. The launch week creates momentum. The post-launch keeps your book alive. When you treat these phases like parts of a story, they flow naturally into one another. Each one prepares the next. A strong launch isn't about luck, timing, or expensive ads. It's about clarity and connection. When you know who you're writing for, when your messaging feels personal, and when your enthusiasm is real, readers respond. That's what gives your book longevity. Not just a burst of attention, but a sense of belonging in someone's world. Here's a simple way to think about it. Your launch is like planting a garden. You start by preparing the soil. That's your pre-launch. You plant the seeds and water them. That's launch week. Then you keep tending them, little by little. That's post-launch. The garden doesn't grow overnight, but if you stay consistent, it always blooms. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few practical reminders. Think of this as your quick mental checklist whenever you're planning a launch. Start by preparing early. The more time you give yourself, the smoother the experience will be. Aim to have your files, visuals, and communication ready before launch week begins. That preparation gives you confidence when things get busy. Keep your message simple and consistent. You don't need to reinvent your story for every platform. Just share the same truth in different ways, why you wrote your book, who it's for, and how it might help or entertain them. Repetition creates recognition, and recognition creates trust. Focus on connection, not perfection. Your readers don't expect you to be a marketing expert. They just want to feel your sincerity. Whether you're sending an email, recording a video, or writing a post, speak as yourself. The real you is always the most powerful part of your brand. Keep showing up after launch week. A few small posts or interactions each week will keep your book visible. Celebrate every review, every message, and every small success. Those moments remind you why you started writing in the first place, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. A launch should feel like a celebration, not a test. You've poured your heart into something creative, something that didn't exist before you made it. That's an incredible achievement in itself. Every author starts somewhere. Some launches will be quiet, some will surprise you, and all of them will teach you something. The more you do this, the better you'll get at understanding what works for you. The process becomes smoother, the stress fades, and the excitement takes its place. At Cosmo Publishing and Cosmodio Books, we've seen hundreds of authors go through this journey, some just starting out, others building long careers. What separates those who thrive isn't budget or luck, but resilience. They keep learning, adjusting, and creating. So wherever you are in your publishing path, take a deep breath and remember this: you're already doing something brave. You're sharing your work with the world. Every launch, every post, every reader who finds your book is part of that bravery. Thank you for joining me today on the Cosmo Publishing Podcast. I'm your host, Gürhan, and I hope this episode helps you approach your next launch with confidence, joy, and clarity. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the show, share it with a fellow author, or leave a review. It truly helps us reach more independent writers just like you. And if you're ready to take your next step, remember that Cosmo Publishing and Cosmodio Books are here to support you, from formatting and design to full marketing campaigns and global distribution. Until next time, keep writing, keep creating, and keep believing in the stories only you can tell.
Welcome to Cosmo Publishing. You just tuned yourself to the coolest place to learn all about self-publishing. We are a turnkey quality service provider, from interior formatting to custom covers and everything in between, including book marketing and advertising. It is the company that books a lot.